Howdy folks, Craig Lavati here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science and the Beyond Bone Zoomcast. Today is Hot Sauce Day on the show. We're talking to my friend James Beck from iBurn. That is a hot sauce shop in Bel Air. We're all going to be talking about the science of hot foods and hot sauce. Hey folks, Craig Lavati here with the Houston Museum of Natural Science and the Beyond Bone Zoomcast. I am joined by my co-host, as always, Kat Havens.
Hey guys, I'm excited about this one.
Yes, and you're wearing your skateboarding skeleton shirt.
Yes, it makes them less scary.
Because we got some sort of like lame cold front today. It's like it's barely,
I know. I could break out a sweatshirt, though, because it seemed almost reasonable.
Vaguely. And today is Wednesday, October 27th, and I will not talk about the Astros game last night because, obvious reasons. But today on the show is really cool. This is a spicy one. My friend James Beck from the Bel Air Hot Sauce Shop. What's a hot sauce one-stop shop? It's a grocery specialty store. Anything you would want that's spicy or hot, that makes you sweat, that gets your endorphins going, James sells at his store. It's called iBurn, iBurn, and it's also iBurn.com on the internet. James, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
You got it. And I was really excited to have you on because not just because I wanted to, make sure everybody knows about your awesome store. You've been surviving during COVID. You've been still pumping out great hot sauce. You've been making people sweat. You've been making people run for the milk, run for the cheese. But also, hot foods are historical. They've been around for a long time. And I knew that was something that Kat was going to be excited about. So tell us a little bit real quick about the shop, how long it's been around, and sort of what's the vibe over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So iBurn, we launched as a website in 2012. The storefront opened in 2013. And the idea behind it was, spicy food is a part of Houston and Texas culture. And at the time I said to myself, hey, there's no hot sauce shop around here. This is a travesty. We have to fix this. And, planets aligned, everything came together. And we launched 8 years ago, and it's been an amazing ride. We've carried over 400 different hot sauces, over 1,200 products total. We've kind of evolved into more of a gourmet grocery store where we get into mild products and barbecue products naturally. And it's just become this amazing, fun ride that I just never get enough of.
So do you curate your products from other people, or do you make your own? What's the story with the products that you carry?
It is, the collection that we carry is 100% curated. And that evolved from the fact that way back when, in the dawn of e-commerce, hotsauce.com was really the only place you could buy hot sauce online. And there were way too many times where I bought sauce on there, got it home, tried it, and it went straight in the trash. It sounded good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked good. I was excited. The ingredients looked good, and then it ended up being awful. So the idea behind it was I had actually started as a hot sauce reviewer and had a blog a million years ago. And I had kind of started to earn a reputation for somebody who had a pretty sophisticated palate when it came to spicy products. So we decided that every single product was going to be taste tested, approved. And we've become such hot sauce snobs now that we turn down about 90% of the samples that we get.
Wow. That's significant.
Yeah.
Now, over the past decade or so, there's been an explosion in hot sauce, I guess. I guess when we explain what hot sauce is, there's some sort of a nomenclature difference there. There's salsa, and then there's hot sauce, which go and define that for us if you can.
Yeah. So it's kind of a misnomer because, salsa translates to sauce. Yeah. So yeah, in Texas kind of goes around that by saying picante sauce. But hot sauce generally is a product that is refined down to more of a smooth, almost, for lack of a better term, watery consistency.
Yeah.
Something that you can add strictly as a condiment, the same way you'd add ketchup or mustard. Whereas salsa has primarily become kind of a complementary condiment that you're supposed to use with chips. Yeah. Or add to, tacos or a variety of Tex-Mex cuisine. But it generally stays in a pretty narrow space. You've got red and green, tomatoes, tomatillos as bases. It doesn't really venture too far from that general space because that's what they're used to.
And
Whereas
I know it when
sauce,
I see it, right? You know hot sauce when you see it versus chipped sauce when you see it.
Right. And the packaging helps a lot too. The industry has made it to where, salsa is jars, hot sauce is bottles.
Right.
But yeah, and with the hot sauce portion of it, the evolution has been amazing. I mean, it's the flavor profiles, the combinations, the heat levels, there is such variety that literally you could have a different sauce to pair with almost everything you eat.
And it's a science now, and I can say that and feel okay about it because it's complicated and it's got, what kind of peppers, what heat level, you have a scale for it, all kinds of things. So it has become much more scientific than when Tabasco sauce was really all we had. Right. Yeah,
absolutely. And we call them chili heads, the people that are just passionate about spice. The chili heads, they all know the Scoville scale. They all understand Scoville heat units. They all understand how hot something should be. And to the point where a lot of people that are heavily involved in the spicy food industry, they're obsessed with it. What's the Scoville rating on that? What's the Scoville rating on that? And it becomes almost an obsession of challenging yourself to see how hot you can go while still being able to enjoy it.
So explain the Scoville rating for people out there that don't know what that is already. That's sort of higher the Scoville rating, the higher the higher the heat, the more intensity of something. The lower is obviously going to be, maybe your basic garden variety, pickled jalapeno you may get with nachos at a baseball game or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wilbur Scoville was a pharmacist that invented Scoville heat units. And essentially the point behind it was they wanted to be able to identify the concentration of capsaicin in virtually anything, including inside of chili peppers. And it used to be purely based on feel. Wilbur Scoville would actually have rooms of test subjects who would try things and give their perspective of how spicy it might be to get a ballpark. Now, with high performance liquid chromatography, it's made it to where you can literally calculate parts per million of capsaicin down to single digits. And so Scoville heat units is really simple. It's just you calculate parts per million times 16, and that's your Scoville rating. So for a jalapeno, it might start at it ranges between 2,500 to 5,000 Scoville heat units. A habanero will run 150 to about 300,000 Scoville for an orange habanero. And then the world's hottest chilies now are exceeding 1.5 million Scoville heat units.
Now, where are those coming from? Like, is that stuff that's like, is it grown in a lab? Is that stuff is that grown wild, or is that now, are we getting to the point, and you've talked to me about this before in our previous, stories we've done together, that it seems like now it's actually like a lab grown thing.
Hydroponic.
Yeah, it feels like it.
Yeah. And so the last chili that was a purely naturally occurring variety was the Trinidad Scorpion that held the world record. And the Scorpion lost the world record in 2013. And since then, every chili that the Carolina Reaper has been the world's hottest chili since 2013, but there have been numerous other varieties and strains that have made claims to being hotter. And in all of those cases, they are either crosses where they actually use cross-pollination to be able to create an entirely different chili, or they're hybrids using a variety of different processes for hybridization. But the bottom line is the Guinness Book of World Records has gotten so strict on what they will accept for data when it comes to the world record hottest chili that the Carolina Reaper was the last one that could pass all of the tests that Guinness requires to be able to certify it as the hottest chili.
Is it a passing the test, or is it just sort of the money involved in doing sort of the extensive lab testing if you're using, chromatography, or is it spectrometry or chromatography that they're using? Do you know?
It's a high performance liquid chromatograph.
Chromatograph. Okay.
Wow.
So it's like a form of okay. That is super cool.
Is there is there an independent third party that it's like a clearinghouse for all this stuff? Like you got to send it off and then they go the check. Okay. Yeah. This is hot as hell. Okay.
Yeah,
good to go.
Guinness Book of World Records, Craig.
Well, no, the Guinness Book, even though, I mean, I've always wondered if there's like a third party group that you would send something to and they would test it.
Well, there's no authority. Well, there is an authority, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding it. So most major universities have an HPLC on site. It's something that's commonly used in chemistry. So any major universities are going to have one. And the reason that it's mostly universities is because the machines run upwards of $500,000.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's not something that an average small business could go and buy and keep to do testing. So when you start talking about getting these tests done, there is a lot of, it kind of depends on who you ask as far as who the authority is. But for people that have been in the industry a long time, like myself, there is an entity at New Mexico State University called the Chili Pepper Institute.
Nice.
And for the majority of the people, that is considered to be the authority for these type of tests. And normally if a grower or, business owner gets tests elsewhere, there are a lot of people in the industry that will question the authenticity of the results.
Hot sauce drama.
I call it hot sauce high school.
Ooh, that's even better. Hot sauce high school.
So you
boys
mentioned,
and girls.
So you mentioned the Reaper, the Carolina Reaper. Is that sort of is that where we're topping out now, or are we're past that now? I'm assuming
It's controversial.
It's very, very, very controversial. Okay. And not only is it controversial, but there are numbers so exorbitant that they don't even seem possible.
Right.
And the test results are not being published, which, Kat, I'm sure you know, it's being in science. If you don't publish your data for peer review,
it didn't happen.
Exactly.
You have no claim.
And the gentleman who invented the Carolina Reaper, Ed Curry, he has since come out with two other chilies that he claims to be hotter, but they are so much hotter that there are a lot of skeptics, including myself, whether or not these results are legitimate because he won't publish his data.
Have you tried those?
No, in fact, he won't even. The only way you can try them is in his presence, because he's so protective over these varieties that he won't even send you one, because then you could get the seeds
and clone it out
and grow them yourself. It's wild.
I know when you started this journey of being the hot sauce boss, and I was around for that, I never would have imagined it would have turned into that. Not that your business would have turned to this, but the industry now that you're describing was in its infancy back then, and now it has just exploded to the point where people are. It's almost like a NASA type project. It seems like, right, Kat? Where it's like you're just the ceiling keeps on getting pushed higher and higher.
There seems to be a lot of room for growth that doesn't seem to end. Which is amazing.
Well, and the comedy and the irony of it is that capsaicin is actually the chili's defense mechanism.
To keep herbivores away, right? Get those guys stop eating me.
And to literally the only the whole point of capsaicin is so that people like humans don't consume them, because then the chilies can't procreate.
Right.
Whereas birds don't feel capsaicin, and when they eat the seeds, they pass.
And spread them.
Exactly. And it becomes instant fertilizer when they poop it out. And then that allows the chilies to grow naturally.
That's very efficient, actually. Nature is always completely fascinating in that way. Like, right, this is a defense mechanism, but birds don't feel it rather, or taste it, and they can do that. And there's like this perfect little fertilizer seed machine that can spread across whatever region, is able to, sustain that kind of a crop or that kind of a plant. That's pretty amazing.
Exactly. And the comedy of it is that humans are the only mammals that are dumb enough, for lack of a better word, to actually eat them.
It was the first cultivated crop in the Western Hemisphere, as a matter of fact. Like, I think maybe 7,000 to 9,000 years ago, I think, is the first evidence for it being cultivated. Throughout South America. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Chad, you have hot sauce behind you.
I do, but I'm embarrassed to show what it is. It's really basic. It's the museum hot sauce, because people will take it and use it.
What do you have back there? You have Cholula.
I have Cholula, and then like the off-brand Trader Joe's Sriracha, which I'm not a real big Sriracha fan. This has been here for a while. It probably needs to go.
That brings up another topic too. Houston being such an international city, we have just, cultures from everywhere, especially in Bel Air, the Bel Air area where iBurn is located at. 4227 Bel Air Boulevard, folks. Go check it out. It's really fun. We have so many different varieties of spicy things here in Houston, right, James? Like, you have, your Vietnamese sauces, you have Thai, you have Latin flavors, Hispanic flavors, things like that. So it's a big mashup here of hot sauce. Houston loves hot foods. We can all agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because North America and Europe are the only two parts of the world where their cuisines are not built around chilies.
Right. Absolutely.
All these other
Asian cuisines are all built around chilies. South America, Central America. Yep. 100%. And why not? Because it's delicious. I can't really think of anything that I wouldn't be willing to try hot sauce on, even ice cream.
And we have.
Oh, have you?
Oh yeah. There's some amazing hot sauces that they go on ice cream.
Okay, I'm going to need to know about which one to try first, then, because I'm going to try that.
Spicy honey is amazing on ice cream.
Here we go. Now Johnny's clocked in. Now Johnny's clocked in. It's funny. So
spicy honey.
My story about spicy honey is funny because it's funny. So last December, I got COVID when I was in rural Washington. And I was with a bunch of buddies. And so I was basically, when I got COVID, I was put in a basement at my buddy's farmhouse in rural Washington. And my friend Jeremy, he makes habanero honey. And he loves habaneros and stuff. And I was super excited to try his habanero honey that he makes, on his stovetop. And obviously, with COVID, it knocks out your sense of taste and smell. And I was just devouring this stuff, and I couldn't taste it. But my body was still reacting to the heat.
Eyes
so I was
watering.
Sweating. Yeah. But I was just like, this is really great. I was eating it on toast and everything. And it was just, that's one of those things that habanero was my gateway to hot stuff, because I remember working at a grocery store and going, ooh, what's this? Trying one of those and having to drink a gallon of milk, to calm my stomach down.
I'm being sad I wasn't there, Craig, because there's a numerous amount of testable hypotheses that I would have liked to have carried out on you.
Throw stuff at me,
see if this kills him. He can't taste it. It's not hurting him.
I will say this, that's the thing with the hot foods that, for me personally, I think the hottest thing I've had was, and I think there was a crawfish place here in town, and I believe they're no longer with us. They made Carolina Reaper crawfish, and they had a challenge for it. You had to eat a pound in 10 or 15 minutes. I barely got through half a pound, and I was seeing colors and, you know, visions and everything. It was great. It tasted great, but I reached a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I will say this, James, you can also attest to this as well. There is a physical rush that comes with hot food.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the endorphin rush, and we just call it generically the rush. And there are a lot of people that the whole reason that they get into super hots is to chase the rush.
Has that been scientifically proven that it's the endorphins and the receptors, or is that still sort of a medical question? Or is that like it has been? Okay.
It has, yeah.
It makes sense, fact, right?
Yeah, it's if you look at it as the actual process that your body goes through when you're dealing with super hot, it's actually almost kind of scary, because what is happening is you are experiencing a level of pain on par with a catastrophic injury. And your body is being sent into a shock-like state, the same as if you broke a bone. However, the pain fades with capsaicin, and then you have this intense natural high from the endorphins. And I say it's the best natural high you can get with your clothes on.
I think that I'm going to have to try some hot sauce.
You can say that. That is family friendly. We could say that on this show. It is. I agree with that. Like, there is a certain level of, when you're high on it, if you want to say high for being on hot sauce, and then it's sort of like when it fades out, you sort of feel that like your body kind of goes, okay, we're good. You know, you may have like, you know, something sweet to eat. I remember when I did that challenge for TV, I think they gave us a bunch of ice cream. And so that was the best tasting ice cream in the world. And I was just kind of like calm. I was collected. It's almost close to even getting a tattoo, where when it's finally done, your body kind of goes, okay, you know, that's over with. Now we can heal. Capsaicin seems to do the same thing.
Yeah. But the interesting part is it's not acidic. It's not caustic. It creates no long-term damage. So you get all of the upside with literally no permanent side effects.
I'm kind of a dork sometimes. I think Craig can probably affirm that. It's sometimes I don't pay attention, and I love peppers just outside of hot sauce. And I mean, I've had it in my eyes, my whole face swollen from touching myself afterwards. And I was relieved when it was gone. And as bad as I looked and as swollen as I looked, there was nothing wrong with me afterwards.
And you wanted to go back.
I just decided to let other people do the work after that. And,
not the eyes. You never want to go back for the eyes.
No, the eyes and even all underneath.
The flavor though, like the taste.
I love the taste. Yeah.
I will say this and Carolina Reapers to me do taste, it's hard to explain this. They do taste like it's chemically altered, if that makes any sense, where it tastes, it doesn't feel like a natural heat. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. And you're the expert, so you could probably.
Yeah, a lot of people will say that that Reapers and quite a few other varieties of the super hots, the concentration becomes so high that it literally bitters the chili.
Yeah.
Well, they're alkaloid, right?
Right.
Yeah, so they're bitter naturally.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the Reaper, you know, the official world record Scoville rating for the Reaper is 1.6 million, and the highest that Scoville can go is 16 million. So the average Carolina Reaper is 10% capsaicin.
And it's not in the seeds, is it?
No, and that is one of the biggest myths. I don't know how that happened.
It's in the placental tissue,
right? Yeah, or it's the placental tissue of the pith. So it's the white tissue that the seeds are attached to, where the majority of the capsaicin is located. So that's why you'll find when you bite onto the end of a chili, you'll get a kick, but it's nowhere near once you get close to the stem, because the whole point of the capsaicin is it's protecting the seeds.
Right. Oh man.
Okay, so what are some other myths then too? Because I know that obviously, so now the seeds always get blamed for being the hottest thing. And it's closer to the stem, you said, is where the biggest concentration of the POW is.
Yeah, it's literally, if you cut a chili in half, where the seeds are attached, that white tissue, that placental tissue is where the concentration of the capsaicin is.
Oh.
And on some of the super hots, it's insane. If you cut some super hots in half, there's literally almost no open space inside the chili. It's all placental tissue.
Ooh. Okay.
And it's really just overwhelming and intimidating, and it's just crazy to see.
And you can get some of the hot on the rest of the chili just from the contact that it's had over time with it. So even if you clean out the seeds and the placental tissue, you still have hot because of just proximity, perhaps?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the flesh of a chili is going to contain capsaicin as well, because the chilies are designed not to be eaten by mammals.
Right.
So the whole thing is going to be spicy to an extent. And that's where you get into a lot of the controversy when you're talking about the world's hottest chilies, because it's getting into, if you're just testing the placental tissue, what is that Scoville rating versus breaking down the entire chili, blending it all together, and then getting an average.
That seems like the more fair or reasonable way of doing it, is just blending the whole thing and testing it. At least that's what my totally non-expert opinion would be.
And allegedly, I've never been there for the process, so I can't speak to it from a factual standpoint, but allegedly that is what Guinness does. They require that you blend up an entire batch of chilies, whether it be, a few ounces or a pound or whatever. And then for an HPLC machine to work, it actually needs a dry sample, because you're introducing water, which helps to calculate the parts per million. So the idea is to blend down these chilies down to literally as fine a powder as you can get, and then introduce it to the HPLC machine, and then take an average to be able to calculate approximately what the normal Scoville rating would be.
I think that makes sense.
What's the hottest thing you sell at iBurn right now?
It's a product called Doomed. It's made by Hellfire Hot Sauce, and it is a sauce where they add chili pepper extract. So there are actually extracts, just like coffee or vanilla, where they use a solvent to extract the capsaicin from the chilies, and then they concentrate it into a soybean oil base. Yeah, and then it's my dog's being nice enough to bark.
That's okay. Hi, dog.
Prince was walking around earlier.
Yeah, I saw that actually. But they add 6.66 million Scoville heat unit extract to the sauce, and it makes the net heat of the sauce about 2.7 million Scoville.
Is there any kind of release form that one has to sign in order to buy that? Is there really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, online and in store. We have a paper waiver that you have to sign in store, and then online there's a checkbox that you have to check, certifying that you're 18 and you understand the dangers involved with buying the product.
Well, there was some drama at my child's middle school, as middle school will do, years ago, over hot sauce and hot sauce tasting and whatnot. And I thought it was kind of funny, because nobody got hurt or anything. But then I kind of was like, I wonder if there's a release form, but there is. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then that actually, a funny story, and this was a really long time ago, because my son is 20 now, but when he was, I want to say in 5th or 6th grade, he actually took a ghost pepper to school, and ended up having him and a few of his friends suffering from capsaicin exposure. And at the time, I actually worked with a capsaicin scientist who was developing a solvent that would remove capsaicin from your skin. So I had to actually take the prototype solvent down to the school to help the nurse treat the kids, to prevent any of the parents from going crazy on them.
Oh, that's funny. But kids are kids. I mean, and that's a totally natural deal to be like, here, you try it.
Yeah.
I've always noticed too that there's always, I've seen sort of the hot sauce culture permeate pop culture. So you have like things like Hot Ones now, that show on YouTube. You also have the one chip challenge I see people doing all the time. Is that basically
behind me?
Is that basically just like it's a Carolina Reaper? It's like a Doritos type chip, and then you're supposed to eat the thing, and then if you can survive it, you win a bet or something. How does that work?
Yeah, so the challenge is that's actually kind of how I have, I guess, become popular on social media again. Is I started doing spicy challenges over a decade ago.
Yep.
And you remember this, Craig? Back in the dawn of YouTube, we would go to restaurants around the country, and I would eat the hottest dishes around the country.
I don't know how you did that, man. I don't know how I God bless you for that. Yeah.
It was so new back then because the only person who was really doing that stuff back then was Man versus Food.
Yep.
And he did them all wrong. Every challenge he did, he got destroyed. But what's happened now is over the course of the last 10, 11 years, spicy challenges have become all the rage. To the point where like Pocky, who makes the one chip challenge, they sell out anywhere from, in the last few years, it's been anywhere from a few hours to a few weeks. They sell out these chips, and they run $7 for a single chip.
What?
And they cannot keep them on the shelves.
That's crazy.
And that's just,
I can actually
that's Reapers, right?
Yeah, I want to see one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the 2021 version.
Okay.
Of the one chip challenge, and you open the box, and it's literally a single foil wrapped chip. And
what a great gig, man!
It's coated in Carolina Reaper and Trinidad Scorpion powder to the point where the entire surface of the chip is red. And then the idea behind it is you just have to eat the whole chip, and then see how long you can go without eating or drinking anything to try to recover.
I will watch you two play that game.
We should have done that. We didn't think about that.
I will not play that game.
What is for somebody who's doing one of those things? Obviously, and you taught me this a long time ago, I think. No water, because water sort of spreads it around. You need to have something like a cream or a milk, right?
The casing.
Right, yeah. So beer is the absolute worst. Anybody who's like, I'll drink a beer afterwards. Alcohol, literally, if there's any clusters of the capsaicin, because it's an oily substance naturally, if you drink alcohol, it literally separates the capsaicin molecules and makes it to where they spread as wide as possible.
There's some bad information online about that then.
Yeah. So drinking a beer after doing anything spicy is the absolute worst thing you can do. Water is a close second. And then to actually get into things that will help, it is going to be full fat dairy is going to be your best option scientifically. Now, everybody's got their own theory. Some people say bread, some say spoonful of sugar, lemon juice, olive oil. There was actually an episode of Mythbusters that got into all that stuff. And the bottom line is that scientifically, full-fat dairy is the best way to go.
Yogurt
I prefer ice cream. I love, Bluebell ice cream. That's my go-to if I'm doing a really intense challenge.
It's the casein in the dairy, I think, that helps pull them off of the receptors that they plug into on your skin or mucous membranes or whatever it is that's the most effective.
Close. So the fat in the dairy is binds with the capsaicin that hasn't latched onto your nerve endings and kind of rinses it away.
Makes it shorter duration.
Yeah, the casein has a detergent effect where it actually lessens it, and it is beneficial, I would say, below a certain threshold. I feel like when you get above 100,000 Scoville heat units,
too much.
The concentration of capsaicin is so high that literally nothing is going to help completely.
You'd have to drink a lot of milk or eat a lot of yogurt.
To
dilute that.
Time is really just the best healer, it seems like, or you just
have to wait.
It breaks down.
Because I remember doing when I did the Reaper challenge with the crawfish, I remember going to Kroger afterwards, even like 2 hours later, getting a big old gallon of vitamin D milk, whole milk, like the top tier stuff, and a bunch of like Mexican pastries, like pink cookies and stuff like that. And like for the rest of the night, that's all I did, and just waited for the storm to come. And that was just, it was fun. But then, like I said, it was one of those things where I reached a level with that. And like I said, this is nowhere near what you've done. And you kind of reach a cruising point with when you are dealing with the heat, where I do remember actually I could taste flavors to it. And you get to that point too, where you're a scientist basically when it comes to it. You can actually taste a flavor profile when most people would just feel fire.
Exactly. And that's ultimately for people like myself, that is the goal, is you're building your tolerance through practice the same way as anything else. If you drink alcohol every day, it's going to take way more alcohol for you to feel intoxicated. With capsaicin, it's the same thing. The more you consume capsaicin, the higher your tolerance becomes, and the hotter products or chilies it takes for you to feel that intense effect. And so the idea behind it then is when you get your tolerance to a high enough level, then you can actually try things like Carolina Reaper hot sauces. And it's not just, this is so hot, and you can't even taste it. It's not just
unpleasant. Yeah.
Right. You can taste the complexity, you can taste the subtlety, and then you can actually focus on pairing these different super hot sauces with foods for enjoyment rather than just, it hurts so bad.
The only connection I'm making is like this people who like do the snake venom buildup. I keep putting snake venom in my body and I can take more snake venom the next time.
Yeah. You're building a tolerance.
Yeah.
There's would you 10 years ago, if somebody would have told you, one day Taco Bell, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, they're going to be selling habanero sauce burgers or something like that, would you have even believed them? Because now that's where we're at.
Oh yeah. Like Burger King just launched ghost pepper chicken nuggets.
What?
Yeah.
And it's never in a million years. Like when one of the first restaurants ever to kind of start playing with the ghost pepper, because that's the thing, even though there have been literally dozens of chilies now that are hotter than the ghost, the ghost pepper or buchalokia has a place in pop culture that will never be equaled. It was the first super hot chili. It was the first million Scoville chili. And everybody recognizes it.
Yeah.
I think it was in 2012, Red Robin was the first major restaurant to offer ghost pepper menu items. And back then I was so excited that we ended up getting on the phone with corporate and basically begging them to let us go into one of their restaurants just to be able to eat the stuff on camera, because we couldn't believe that a restaurant was really embracing super hots. And now you've got
Burger
you can
King.
Literally, go to Burger King right now. And I think they're like $1 for 8 of them.
Have you tried them?
No, but I've heard, and the reason I haven't is because I've heard they don't use a whole lot of ghost pepper in them, and they're not that hot.
It would be disappointing.
What do you think? What do you think? What was the cultural shift? Do you think? What was it? Was it more of like, we're crazier now, or more daring, or
we need stimulation?
Is that?
Yeah, we lack stimulation. Like you
think so?
Absolutely.
Well, that's part of it, and then the other part of it is that because thanks to streaming services, thanks to the internet, thanks to everything, people are getting more adventurous with their eating.
That's
whether that be with spicy food, whether it be with different flavors, different types of food, getting into the, bizarre foods and whatnot. People want to be more adventurous. They don't just want the traditional chicken and rice. And it's been really fun to kind of watch how it's gone from, ooh, ghost pepper, no, it's okay, man, that's all you, to now people are like, ooh, I'll try that. Yeah, that would be interesting. And more people now are willing to at least, take a little nibble just to see what the experience is like. And it's just so much fun now to watch the vast majority of people get adventurous with their, their eating and have some fun with it.
Well, and personally, I'll share something personal here, hopefully not too much. I'm attention deficit disorder. And so we are constantly seeking stimulation. It's how our brains work. And hot sauce is great for me. It actually focuses me and can satisfy sort of that like wheel that turns and turns and turns and turns. So smells and tastes, and hot sauce is a winner. I have so much, and I'm coming to your store too, because now I need to know.
Yeah. And I have ADD as well. So
you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
It can make you go, whoo.
Yeah, because that's we've also gotten to the point where obviously too there's the challenge aspect where more adventurous too. And I think even culturally now, when you can go into a mainstream restaurant and you'll see sriracha next to ketchup.
Yeah.
You'll see sriracha next to, anything like that. Like sriracha is just like a normal thing. They sell it in little packets. I remember when it was just, you had to go to a Vietnamese restaurant to find it, or an Asian restaurant of some sort. And now it's just everywhere. Like it's just a common thing. And I will say this, especially here in Houston, it's very commonplace. My favorite stuff is always Vietnamese hot that's my go-to. Yeah. I just love anything that's like the chili oil, things like that. I always, I could drink a gallon of that if I could. I love it.
What's your favorite though? I want to know his favorite of all the sauces.
Yeah. James, what's yours? What's your favorite right now?
As far as international cuisine?
No,
favorite
sauce.
Hot sauce right now.
Oh, I have so many. It almost gets to the point now where I've tried. I think I'm over 4,000 different sauces that I've tried throughout this entire adventure. So it's gotten to the point now where I get so specific that it comes down to what food and what heat level are the pairings. Generally, if I'm going to just have something, like if I just had to take something with me somewhere to be able to just have an all-purpose product to be able to use, we carry something in the store called Tabanero with a T.
That's right.
Tabanero Extra Hot is my go-to.
I'm taking notes.
It's fine. Yeah. Tabanero. Okay, I think I've had Tabanero with you before, maybe on another radio show. And then I've also noticed on my travels that the Northwest really loves hot sauce.
Yes.
Like Portland, Seattle, they love hot sauce up there.
Oh yeah. Well, there's geographically now there's no limitations. I mean, it used to be, people, it would be funny in the early days of doing this, when I would tell people that a product was from like Ohio, they would be like, they like hot sauce up there. Seriously?
Get a road.
And the old Pace Pecani commercials, salsa from New York City. There's so many amazing products that are made in New York City now. Like that, all of that old, stereotype is just long gone. The Hellfire, the one that I mentioned earlier, Doomed, that's out of Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
They're as far up north as you can get, just about. But they make literally the hottest products on the planet. And it's become now that it's not even a question of if you can get really hot sauces in different states. It's just a question of which ones can you get.
That is incredible. And that's kind of recent too. I mean, but recent to me has changed as I've gotten older, but it's not been that long, right?
No, not at all. I mean, it seems like every year the big box grocery stores are bringing in more and more gourmet spicy products, and it's becoming easier and easier to get a hold of them regardless of where you are in the country now.
I know HEB does a really good job they stock a lot of esoteric hot sauces as well, especially like Texas bread, things like that. Not that you should go there.
No, you should go to
iBurn.
iBurn.
The thing with I love any time that any business, whether it's a small business or a Fortune 100 company, anytime that anyone is doing something that is helping people to embrace gourmet spicy food, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, it drives business your way eventually, right?
Absolutely. And especially in these strange times now, if you're making a trip out, for a lot of people, like just making that trip out is a big deal. And so for a lot of people, the last thing you want to do is have to go from place to place to place,
Right.
because it becomes more of an anxiety filled trip.
Sure.
So if you can kind of have that one-stop shop and be able to try something, and then it increases your tolerance to the point where you're like, okay, so yeah, this habanero sauce is good, but it's not spicy enough now. Then they're gateway sauces, and they're going to end up at my store eventually.
I was about to say, you're the gateway dealer. Like, you're the one that people are like, I've had this at HEB, but it's time to, like, I need to start seeing some visions and some circles.
It was used to see visions historically. I would like to bring it back to history.
Yes.
Because that's what it is. It was used to see visions.
Yeah, so absolutely.
It's like the whole, was it the Simpsons episode with the chili, with Homer on the vision quest, and then just Honey Cash as the wolf fox or whatever it was. That was.
Is there hallucinogenic in it, or is it just a matter of like, I'm so hot I think I'm gonna die, so now I'm having an out of body experience?
Yeah, and that's really what it is. And it's funny you mentioned the Simpsons, because in that episode, the hottest chili in the world at that time was the Red Savina habanero, which is about 500,000 Scoville. So when that Simpsons, because there's always the pop culture about the Simpsons predicting the future.
Yeah.
There were no million Scoville chilies that had been acknowledged or recognized when that episode aired. So the idea behind having a chili that was so hot that it would like send you off into this like, fantastic fever dream realm is just, it's crazy that they could like see that far into the future and recognize that now this has become a thing where people who don't have super hot tolerance, if you go and try something like one of these, which you can, get at most places when they're not sold out, you're going to have an experience unlike anything else you could imagine.
Legally,
yes,
right.
absolutely.
Legally in Texas, at least.
Legally, and it's something that you'll be back to normal from in 15, 20 minutes. Well, at least the your palate will be back to normal.
We won't get, there's the after effects that linger sometimes that we won't talk about that that are there, obviously.
The second burn.
It's a human body, folks.
But there's actually but if you're going to venture into this stuff, see what's cool now is one of the most exciting things that came out of the pandemic is there was a study published in Germany in, I guess it was June of last year, where they actually put a name to, we call it the gut balm. It's where you eat so much capsaicin that your body starts treating it like it's toxic. So our term had always been the gut balm. Well, now there's a medical term. It's called capsaicin intoxication.
What?
Yeah. And if you're, go ahead.
Oh, does it cause like, I'm just going to say it because this is a science museum. Does it cause diarrhea, that kind of thing? Like,
eventually, but that's not even what you're having to deal with. So if you eat one of these on an empty stomach, you're going to feel like you got punched in the gut by Mike Tyson.
Really?
It's literally going to feel like a bomb exploded in your stomach.
And it's called a gut bomb.
Yeah, we call it a gut bomb, but the medical term is capsaicin intoxication. And as best as we can figure, so capsaicin in concentrations that are pretty much impossible to reach by people is lethal.
Sure.
But now the amount of it you'd have to consume, there's a lot of myths about that as well. The amount of it you'd have to consume would be the equivalent of eating about 4 pounds of Carolina Reapers. And the most of anyone that I've ever seen eat is a pound and a half of Reapers. And any normal person would probably throw up after 4 or 5.
You can get water intoxication too if you drink too much water and get off balance and die.
You would have to be eating the peppers physically. It's not like you would just be eating the sauce. You would actually have to be just chewing the peppers up at that point.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of concentration, nobody's your body would reject it if you started getting anywhere near lethality. Right. But what happens is your body still perceives capsaicin as a toxic substance. So the analogy I've always used, and it's a bit harsh, but it's medically and scientifically, it's accurate, when you experience capsaicin intoxication, it is literally would be like if you had consumed a poison like arsenic, except you don't die.
Sometimes you wish you were going to die at a certain point.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, I can go now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you experience, high acid production, which will cause heartburn and acid reflux, depending on the person. You experience intense stomach and intestinal cramping. And the best analogy I can give you is it feels like you're giving birth to your intestines. And it can last for hours. So with the dawn of challenge culture being so popular now, I'm actually getting into, in fact, I'm about to do a video about this on my social media, is helping people to deal with the gut bomb and helping them to recover more quickly from it, because people are going to the emergency room thinking that there's anything that the ER can do for them, and there isn't.
Your body has to neutralize it. That's the acid production. That just sounds so horrible.
Well, it actually has to pass it because capsaicin is non-nutrient. So your body doesn't absorb it at any level. So it has to be passed. And the craziest part is, just use your imagination. It can literally pass through any waste delivery method you can think of. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back to my Reaper experience, and man, that was something else.
Yeah, we call it Ring of Fire.
Yes, I mean, like I said, I spent a lot of time in my secondary office that night, my home office, if you will, just getting a lot of extra work done, getting some writing done. It was. But like I said, it was one of those things where I'm glad I did it, and I did feel the rush that you guys were talking about. You did feel like a rush of just like I did that, I'm fine. And then part of me was like,
was it worth it?
It was worth it. Yeah. Okay. It made for great TV, and it actually didn't taste bad. And the crawfish they had to the challenge was you had to lick your fingers too.
Oh.
So you had to, and I only got through like half a pound, where I was just like, this is okay. Like, the other guy that was next to me had like one of those like a Tabasco holster on his belt. And I think you sell those, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. I have a couple. I have one that's made out of alligator.
And he was just like, this is fine with me. And everybody was like, you're not going to be fine later, man. Like, he's like, I know.
There's a price to pay.
There's a price to pay. And that's funny. We brought that up earlier.
Time to pay the Reaper.
There's a few different little pay indeed. Like, that's, thank you to El Bolillo Bakery. I said that wrong. I'm sorry. They were the ones that I used to sort of calm the seas there. Shout out to them. So I was going to say the Simpsons episode was a big pop culture moment for hot sauce. I would also put, oh God, what's another thing that Hot Ones obviously was a big deal. Man, the Dumb and Dumber scene where they killed the guy with the hot sauce was pretty popular.
Yeah.
What else? What are some other ones that you can remember that were like when hot sauce became like, it was on the national radar. Yeah, like it became a very big deal there for a while.
My lab is busting at me. Hush, Angel, go on, go lay down.
It's time for the dogs to go on a walk, you two.
I think it is. But I was going to say, those were some big moments that sort of opened the door.
And I feel like the biggest things that I've noticed, because obviously from my perspective, it's more of, kind of an internal perspective, being that this has literally been my career for the last 12 years. Wow, it's been a while. Is shows like Man vs. Food, Hot Ones. I mean, Hot Ones, I can tell you right now that even though Hot Ones is owned by Hearst Media Group, and it's a big international corporately owned thing, what they've done, whether they realize it or not, is they have actually driven the demand for gourmet hot sauce through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
And it's, the sauces that are on the show are, it's fine. It's whatever. I won't get into my opinions on that. But, but what's ended up happening is when those sauces all sell out, and it makes people venture out and go, okay, well, there's got to be other really good.
Let's try something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Non-grocery store sauces we can try. So let's go find a place, and they inevitably end up at my store.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to inevitably end up at your store soon.
Do you still have the hot beef jerky?
Yeah. We have a locally made one.
So good.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. It's a Reaper jerky. We've also got a carne asada jerky. That's
The Reaper jerky. I remember I bought a few bags of Reaper jerky from you. We filmed a Super Bowl segment, and I got a bunch of the bags of the Reaper jerky from you. And on the way home, I was eating them, and I had to stop, and I went to the first. Oh God, what's this? I went to Smoothie King.
Oh my gosh, that's
and like I got the biggest Smoothie King I could buy because I was just like, but I felt great. Like I was driving, and I was like. Hot sauce wakes you up too. If you're driving far a long distance and you can't stop anywhere, have some hot sauce packets with you and just suck one of those down, and that'll wake you up. I'm serious. It works with me. I don't know. Maybe for James, it just puts him to sleep. I don't know. But for me, even if it's something like simple, like Texas Pete's or something like that, I can do it. So that's just, it's sort of, it wakes me up. So,
I have learned a lot, man.
Yeah,
it's the thermogenic effect. It literally what ends up happening is it triggers your body into a reaction similar to exercise, which is why that's happening. That's why when you see people that eat stuff that's way too hot for them, they're sweating profusely. Yeah. Their faces turn red.
Got the pump.
Yeah. It's literally it's triggering your body into feeling like you're exercising. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. If you're drowsy and you eat something too hot, it's probably going to wake you right up, even better than a stimulant.
Yeah, I used to keep little packets of, I know Texas Pete's is probably like sugar water to you, but like packets in the car, packets at my desk at work. And then if I was kind of getting out of it, I'd take one of those, suck it down and be like, okay, good. It centers me. So I guess also too genetically, and I know we got to wrap this up quick, but genetically, does it also have something to do with whatever in the womb maybe you ingested?
Or is that more of any studies that have occurred as far as that goes? Okay. I do know that there is there's a specific nerve receptor that it's long story short, it's called the VR1 receptor. It's a vanilloid receptor. It's the same thing that it's essentially the same receptor that tastes vanilla. Mm-hmm. That's what senses capsaicin. So every person has different concentration of these receptors. And if you have a higher density of these nerve receptors, you will have a greater sensitivity to capsaicin, and it will be harder for you to venture into super hot territory, and it'll be harder to build that tolerance. So the people who can handle the highest heat levels are the ones, sorry about that. I have my phone on D&D. I don't know why I did that. The people who can handle the highest tolerance levels are the ones that have the lowest concentration of nerve receptors.
It's like super tasters too.
Yeah.
Like they can't eat broccoli because it tastes like sulfur or whatever it tastes like.
Or cilantro that tastes like soap.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's people that say that, and I could eat cilantro all day long.
Me too.
Like cilantro to me. So yeah, and I know that in the womb, I know my mom told me that she used to eat a lot of hot stuff. So that was always one of those things that I think coming out of the womb, I was ready for, spicy foods. So
mix it in with your baby food. Why not?
There we go. Yeah. Jalapeno poppers for, toddlers. James, thank you very much. You can go to iBurn. It's iBurn.com and order every single sauce known to James rather. And also go to the shop at 4227 Bel Air Boulevard and go in there and buy everything on the shelf. It's a grocery store at this point too. I mean, you have everything inside, not just hot sauce, but also other gourmet delights to try with your hot sauce. And what's your TikTok handle?
Mine is at Hot Sauce Boss. In fact, on all my social media, it's at Hot Sauce Boss. Yeah,
and you're going up to almost 1 million followers on there.
Yeah, I was as of this morning, I was at 990,000 followers.
So close.
Yeah. So, I think 14 million likes or something like that.
Wow.
If anybody questions the demand and the interest in this, I mean, all you have to do is go look at social media. I mean, Hot Ones has got, I don't know how many subscribers now, probably close to 10 million. And the biggest spice creators on TikTok are upwards of 10 million. So the interest and the demand for this is unlike anything I think anyone culinarially has ever seen.
That's incredible.
Very cool. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad I'm so proud to know you and proud to know what you're doing. And I'm excited. Kat, go over there right now. Leave the office.
I am looking at my thing, and I'm like, I have to do a little more work, and then I'm going to go. What time is the store closed today?
We close at 6.
Okay, then I'm going to go there today. I need some hot jerky and some new sauce.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, and we have a sample table. So, we've figured out how to do all these sanitization and COVID protocols where everything is cleanly and sanitary. So,
excellent.
Yeah, you can go in there and try sauces and keep going on the heat level until you can't take it anymore.
Awesome.
Don't call me, Kat.
I will.
Just take an Uber home.
I'm going to call you at like 2 a.m. I'm suffering. Okay. Help. All right.
Everybody, thank you very much. Check out iBurn.com and get your burn on.